Jake Morrison wiped his hands on his uniform for the third time that morning. He was still getting used to the feeling of working on an alien station. Everything here felt different from the training facility back on Earth. The walls glowed with a soft blue light that seemed to come from nowhere. The air tasted strange, filtered through systems designed for a dozen different species. Even gravity felt slightly off, calibrated to a standard that satisfied most aliens, but left humans feeling just a bit too light on their feet. He checked the medical equipment in storage room 7, making notes on his tablet. This was his job now. Check the machines. Make sure they worked. Report any problems. It was simple work, but Jake took it seriously. He was one of the first humans to work on Concordia Prime, a massive neutral station where different alien species met to talk and trade. Humanity had only joined the Galactic Assembly 6 months ago, and everyone back home was watching to see how humans would fit in. The storage room door slid open, and Jake jumped. He still was not used to the doors opening without a sound. "Morrison, we need the portable scanner from your room. Now." The voice belonged to Nurse Krell, a 4-armed alien with green skin and too many eyes. She usually worked in the advanced care unit, which meant something serious was happening. "Which scanner?" Jake asked, already moving toward the equipment racks. "The neural one. The big one." "Hurry." Jake grabbed the heavy scanner, struggling with its weight. He followed Krell down the corridor toward the isolation ward. Other medical staff rushed past them, speaking in languages Jake did not understand. He caught words in Galactic Common, the trade language everyone used. Emergency. Critical. Princess. His heart started beating faster. Princess meant royalty. Royalty meant politics. Politics meant he needed to be very, very careful not to mess anything up. The isolation ward was chaos. At least 20 alien medical staff crowded around a single bed. Machines beeped and hummed. Holographic displays showed numbers and graphs that Jake could not read. In the center of it all, he caught a glimpse of the patient. She was tall. Taller than any human. With skin that looked like it was made of pearl. It shimmered with colors that kept changing. Her eyes were closed, and even from the doorway, Jake could tell she was dying. "Make room! Make room!" Dr. Zalkith pushed through the crowd. The doctor was a crystalline being. His body made of something that looked like living diamond. He was the head of the medical department and one of the smartest beings Jake had ever met. "Where is that scanner?" "Here, sir." Jake lifted the heavy device, trying to carry it to the bed. That was when everything went wrong. A thin cable ran across the floor, connecting 2 of the monitoring machines. Jake did not see it until his foot caught on it. He lurched forward, off balance, the scanner falling from his hands. He threw his arms out, trying to catch himself, and his right hand landed on something smooth and cool, the princess's arm. For 1 second, Jake felt her skin against his palm. It was like touching water and stone at the same time. Cool, but somehow alive. Then the feeling changed. Warmth rushed up his arm, not painful but strange, like his whole hand was waking up from being asleep. "Get him away from her!" someone shouted. Hands grabbed Jake and pulled him back. The scanner crashed to the floor with a sound that made everyone flinch. Jake stumbled, his face burning with shame. He had just contaminated a dying patient. He had just touched royalty without permission. He had just ruined everything. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry," Jake started to say, but the words died in his throat. Every machine in the room was screaming. Alarms blared from a dozen different devices. The holographic displays flashed red, then yellow, then green. Medical staff froze, staring at their instruments. Dr. Zalketh stood perfectly still. His crystalline body caught the light from the displays, making him look like a statue. "That is not possible," he said quietly. Jake looked at the princess. Her skin was changing color. The pale, almost gray tone was shifting to something brighter. The shimmer that had been fading was growing stronger. Her chest rose and fell with a breath that looked deeper, stronger than before. "Her neural patterns are stabilizing," someone said. "Bioelectric field is normalizing. The plague markers are dropping." "How are they dropping?" Princess Velshara's eyes opened. They were silver, bright as mirrors, and they focused immediately on Jake. She stared at him with an expression he could not read. Confusion. Wonder. Something else. The room went silent except for the machines. Every alien in the isolation ward turned to look at Jake. He felt his stomach twist. What had he done? Dr. Zalketh moved closer to the princess. "Your Highness," he said, his voice careful and formal. "How do you feel?" "I feel." The princess's voice was soft but clear. She spoke in Galactic Common with an accent Jake had never heard before. "I feel awake. For the first time in weeks, I feel awake." Her silver eyes never left Jake. "What was that? What did he do to me?" "We do not know, Your Highness. The human made accidental contact with your arm. That was no accident." The princess tried to sit up. Medical staff rushed to help her, their movements uncertain. That was life. Pure, raw life. I felt my neural pathways restart. I felt the plague patterns break apart. The door at the far end of the ward burst open. 6 figures in black armor entered, weapons ready, royal guards. Jake recognized them from the station briefings. They protected the Etherian royal family, and right now they looked ready to protect the princess from him. "Stand away from the princess," the lead guard commanded. His voice came through a translator, flat and emotionless. Jake raised his hands. "I didn't mean to touch her. It was an accident that saved her life," Princess Velshara said. She was sitting up now, color returning to her face. "Stand down. Captain, this human is not a threat. With respect, Your Highness, we do not know what he is." The guard captain kept his weapon pointed at Jake. "We do not know what he did. Until we understand, he must be detained." Dr. Zalketh stepped between Jake and the guards. "This human is a member of my medical staff. If you wish to detain him, you will need authorization from Station Command." "We have authorization." A new voice spoke from the doorway. A tall Etherian, in formal robes, entered the room. His skin had the same pearl shimmer as the princess, but darker, with veins of gold running through it. He wore a crown that seemed to be made of solid light. "I am Emperor Tholvek. This human will come with my guards. We need to understand what happened here." Jake felt cold. The Emperor, the ruler of one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy, was standing 10 feet away. And Jake had just touched his daughter. "Father, please," Princess Velshara said. "He saved my life. Perhaps. Or perhaps he is part of something we do not yet understand." The Emperor looked at Jake, with eyes that held no warmth. "Either way, he will remain in our custody until we have answers." The guards moved forward. Jake did not resist as they took his arms. What could he do? He was one human on an alien station, surrounded by beings who could kill him with a thought. As they led him toward the door, Jake looked back at the princess. She was watching him, her silver eyes filled with something that might have been gratitude, or might have been fear. He could not tell. The last thing he heard before the door closed was Dr. Zalketh speaking to his staff. "Record everything. Every reading, every measurement. Something impossible just happened, and we need to understand why." They put Jake in a room that was nicer than his own quarters. That worried him more than if they had thrown him in a cell. The walls were smooth and white, the furniture was comfortable, and there was a window showing the stars outside. A guard stood at the door, but when Jake asked for water, the guard brought it without hesitation. This was not how you treated a criminal. This was how you treated someone important, someone you needed to keep safe. Jake sat on the bed and tried to figure out what that meant. 3 hours passed before the door opened again. Dr. Zalketh entered, carrying a medical scanner and a tablet. The crystalline doctor's body reflected the room's light, creating small rainbows on the walls. "How are you feeling?" Zalketh asked. "Confused. Scared. Mostly confused." Jake stood up. "Doctor, what happened back there?" "I just touched her. That's all I did. That is what we are trying to understand. Zalketh gestured to the bed. Sit. Please. I need to scan you. The Emperor wants to know if you are a threat. I need to prove that you are not. Jake sat while the doctor ran the scanner over him. Blue light washed across his body, and the tablet in Zalketh's other hand filled with data. The doctor's crystalline face was hard to read, but Jake thought he saw surprise there. Remarkable. Zalketh said quietly. What is? Your bioelectric field. Every living thing generates one. But yours is unlike anything in our database. We have records of 10,000 species. None of them produce a pattern like this. We have records of Mara. Is that bad? I do not know yet. Zalketh sat down across from Jake. Tell me about Earth. What kind of planet is it? Jake blinked at the sudden change of subject. It's home. It's a planet with oceans and continents. We have weather, seasons, different climates. Yes, but what kind of planet? Stable or unstable? Peaceful or dangerous? I guess dangerous. We have earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, tornadoes. Ice ages happen every few thousand years. Asteroids hit us sometimes. Jake frowned. Why does that matter? Zalketh's eyes gleamed. Because evolution shapes every species. My people evolved on a world with perfect stability. The same temperature. The same conditions. For millions of years. We developed, ordered, efficient biology. But Earth sounds chaotic. It can be. Then your biology must be chaotic too. Adaptive. Ready for constant change. The doctor stood and paced. His movements sharp and excited. That is what I am seeing in these scans. Your bioelectric field is not ordered like an Etherian's. It is wild, unpredictable, full of what we call evolutionary noise. That sounds bad. On the contrary, it may be exactly what saved the princess. Before Jake could ask what that meant, the door opened again. Princess Velshara entered, wearing simple robes instead of medical garments. She looked healthy, strong, nothing like the dying patient Jake had seen hours ago. 2 guards followed her, but she waved them back. I wanted to thank you properly, she said, speaking directly to Jake. My father forbids it. But I do not care. You saved my life. Jake stood quickly. Your Highness, I didn't do anything. It was an accident. An accident that no Etherian physician could achieve. She moved closer, studying his face. What is your name? Jake Morrison, Your Highness. Jake. She said it carefully, like she was tasting a new word. I am Velshara. Please. No more titles. You touched me and brought me back from death. That gives you the right to use my name. I really don't think your father would agree. Velshara smiled. It was a strange expression on her alien features, but Jake could tell it was genuine. My father agrees with very little that I do. Dr. Zalketh. Have you told him yet? Told me what? Jake asked. The doctor nodded slowly. The neural plague that was killing the princess works by exploiting the predictability of Etherian neural patterns. Our bioelectric fields are highly ordered, which makes us powerful, but also vulnerable. The plague reads our patterns and turns them against us. When you touched me, Velshara continued, your bioelectric field disrupted everything. The plague could not read your patterns because you have no patterns. Just chaos and change. That chaos broke the plague's hold on my neural pathways. Jake tried to process that. So humans are messy? And that's good? In this case, yes. Dr. Zalketh pulled up a holographic display from his tablet. It showed 2 different energy patterns. One was smooth and regular, like waves on a calm ocean. The other looked like a storm, all spikes and valleys and unpredictable motion. The first pattern is Etherian, the second is human. By every measure we use, the Etherian pattern is superior, more efficient, more powerful, more refined. But that refinement is killing us. How many others have this plague? Jake asked. Velshara's expression darkened. Thousands. It started in the royal court 6 months ago and spread from there. We have lost 300 people already. Our best physicians cannot stop it, but a clumsy human technician can? You are not clumsy, Velshara said firmly. You are different. That is what we need. The door opened a third time. Emperor Tholvek entered, and the room suddenly felt smaller. The emperor was tall, his presence commanding even without the crown. He looked at his daughter with an expression that was both loving and stern. Velshara, you were ordered to rest. I am rested. I feel better than I have in months. She did not back down from her father's gaze. We need to discuss this. Yes, we do. The emperor turned to Jake. Human, I owe you thanks. You saved my daughter. For that, you have my gratitude. He paused, and his tone shifted. I also have questions, many questions. I'll answer whatever I can, Your Majesty. Good. The emperor gestured to Dr. Zalketh. Show him the rest. The doctor pulled up another display. This one showed a map of the Etherian Empire. With red dots scattered across multiple worlds, there were hundreds of them. Each dot represents a confirmed case of the neural plague. The number grows every day. Our hospitals are full. Our medical resources are strained. Jake felt his chest tighten. That's a lot of people. 4,812 at last count, the emperor said. His voice was steady, but Jake could hear the weight behind the words. If what happened with my daughter can be replicated, you may be able to save them all. Me? I'm just a technician. I don't know anything about healing. You do not need to know. You simply need to be human. Dr. Zalketh closed the displays. Your bioelectric field did the healing. We just need you to make contact with the patients. All of them? As many as possible. Jake sat down hard. His mind was racing. 4,000 people. 4,000 dying aliens who needed him to touch them. What if it doesn't work again? What if touching your daughter was just lucky? Then we will know, the emperor said. But we must try. I am requesting formally that Earth send medical personnel to assist. But that will take time. And time is something my people do not have. My father wants you to come to our homeworld, Velshara said gently. To help the others who are dying. I know it is much to ask. It's not asking, it's demanding. Jake looked up at the emperor. What if I say no? Then you may return to your duties here, and I will thank you again for saving my daughter. Emperor Tholvek met Jake's eyes without blinking. But thousands will die. Children, elders, people who have families waiting for them to come home. It was not a threat. It was worse than a threat. It was the truth. Jake thought about his own family back on Earth. His parents. His younger sister. If they were dying, and an alien could save them with a simple touch, he would want that alien to help. He would beg them to help. I'll do it, he said quietly. I'll try. Velshara's face lit up. Even the emperor's stern expression softened slightly. There is one more thing, Dr. Zalketh said. We do not know if this process will harm you. Human bioelectric fields are not unlimited. Healing others may drain you, damage you. We are working with completely unknown science. Then I guess we'll find out together. Jake stood up and looked at the three aliens. When do we leave? The ship that carried them to the Etherian homeworld was larger than any human vessel Jake had ever seen. It moved through space without a sound, powered by technology that made Earth's best engines look like toys. Jake spent most of the 3-day journey in the medical bay, letting Dr. Zalketh and his team run tests. They attached sensors to his head, his chest, his hands. They measured his brain waves, his heart rate, the electrical signals his nerves sent through his body. They took blood samples and tissue samples. They scanned him with machines Jake did not understand. Through it all, Jake tried to stay calm and patient. On the second day, Velshara came to visit him. She dismissed the medical staff with a gesture and sat down next to the chair where Jake was connected to half a dozen monitoring devices. Does it hurt? She asked. No, it's just boring. Jake watched another readout scroll past on a screen. How are you feeling? Strong. Better than I have felt in a long time. She looked at the machines surrounding him. My people are very good at studying things. Sometimes too good. We forget that behind every measurement is a living being. I don't mind helping, if it means we can save others. Velshara was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. Tell me about Earth. What is it like to live on a death world? Jake had heard that term before. Death world. It was what the Galactic Assembly called planets that were dangerous to live on. It's not as bad as it sounds. We have beautiful places. Mountains. Forests. Oceans. But yeah, nature can be deadly. Hurricanes can destroy cities. Earthquakes can swallow buildings. We have animals that can kill you just by touching you. That sounds terrifying. We're used to it. Humans have always lived with danger. We built walls to keep predators out. We created medicine to fight diseases. We learned to predict storms and earthquakes. Jake smiled slightly. We're survivors. That's kind of our thing. And that is why you can heal us. Velshara leaned forward. Dr. Zalketh explained it to me. Your species had to adapt constantly. Change or die. That made your biology flexible in ways ours is not. Your biology seems pretty impressive to me. You can control bioelectric fields consciously. That's amazing. It is also our weakness. She looked down at her hands. Her skin still shimmered with that pearl-like glow. For millions of years, my people have refined ourselves. We removed genetic variations that we thought were flaws. We standardized our neural patterns to make us more powerful. We became perfect. Perfection sounds nice. Perfection is fragile. Velshara met his eyes. When the plague came, it spread through our population like fire through dry grass. We are all so similar now that what kills one of us can kill all of us. We optimized away our diversity, and now we are paying the price. Jake thought about that. Back on Earth, there were billions of humans, and every single one was different. Different genetics, different immune systems, different everything. It made humanity messy and complicated. But it also meant that diseases rarely killed everyone. There was always someone whose body could fight back. Your people thought they were getting stronger, Jake said slowly. But they were actually making themselves vulnerable. Yes. And now a human from a death world is teaching us that chaos and imperfection have value. She smiled. But it was a sad smile. Some of my people will not accept this easily. Dr. Zalketh returned before Jake could ask what she meant. The crystalline doctor was practically vibrating with excitement. I have the analysis complete. Jake, you need to see this. The doctor pulled up a holographic display that filled half the room. It showed two neural patterns side by side. Jake recognized them from before. The smooth Etherian pattern and the chaotic human one. Look here, Zalketh said, pointing to sections of the patterns. When you touched the princess, your bioelectric field did not overpower hers. It resonated with it. Your chaos acted like a reset button, breaking the plague's hold and allowing her natural healing to restart. So, I'm like a medical reboot? In simple terms, yes. The doctor changed the display. But here is what concerns me. Your bioelectric field showed signs of depletion after the contact. Not dangerous levels, but measurable. If you heal dozens or hundreds of patients, we do not know what will happen to you. Will it kill me? Unknown. Human biology is too new to us. We have no baseline to measure against. Velshara stood up quickly. Then we cannot ask him to do this. Father will have to find another way. There is no other way, Jake said. Not fast enough. How many people die each day from this plague? Dr. Zalketh checked his tablet. Approximately 12 per day. The rate is increasing. Then we don't have time to be careful. Jake started disconnecting the sensors from his body. When we reach your homeworld, take me straight to the hospitals. We'll start healing people and monitor my condition as we go. That is dangerously reckless, the doctor said. That's human. Jake finished removing the last sensor. You said it yourself. We're from a death world. We're used to taking risks. The ship arrived at Ethe Prime the next morning. Jake stood at the observation window and stared at the planet below. It was beautiful in a way that took his breath away. The continents were covered in crystalline cities that caught the sunlight and threw it back in rainbow colors. Oceans shimmered with a gentle blue glow. Everything looked peaceful, orderly, perfect, and thousands of people down there were dying. The Imperial Palace was as impressive as the planet. Towers of crystal and light reached toward the sky. Gardens filled with plants Jake had never seen spread out in geometric patterns. Servants and officials moved through hallways with quiet efficiency. Everything had its place. Everything followed rules. Jake felt very out of place. Emperor Tholvek met them in a private chamber. With him were several other Etherians, wearing formal robes. Jake recognized the symbols of high rank. "This is the Royal Council," the Emperor said. "They need to understand what you will be doing." One of the council members stepped forward. He was older than the others, his skin darker and veined with silver instead of gold. "I am High Counselor Ralsek. I speak for those who question this plan." "Question how?" Jake asked. "You are an unknown factor. A primitive species from a world that only recently joined the assembly. Yet, we are meant to trust you with our people's lives?" Ralsek's tone was cold. "How do we know this is not some human plot? Perhaps you created this plague to make yourselves necessary." "That's insane," Jake said before he could stop himself. "We didn't even know you existed until 6 months ago. How could we create a plague that targets your biology? Yet you can cure it. Convenient. Counselor, that is enough." Emperor Tholvek's voice cut through the room like a blade. "This human saved my daughter. That is not convenience. That is proof. Proof of one case. We need more data before we allow mass contact with our population." "Then let me be the data." Jake stepped forward. "Take me to your sickest patients. Let me try to heal them while your doctors watch and measure everything. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then I'll leave, and you can find another solution." Ralsek studied Jake with obvious distrust. "And if this is a trap? Then I'm one unarmed human on a planet full of beings who could kill me with a thought. Not much of a trap." Several council members made sounds that Jake realized were laughter. Even the Emperor's stern expression cracked slightly. "Very well," Ralsek said. "We will observe your attempt. But know this, human, if you fail, if you harm our people, there will be consequences." "Fair enough." Jake looked at Dr. Zalketh. "Where do we start?" "The nearest hospital has 40 patients in critical condition. We will begin there." The doctor gestured to the door. "But Jake, please remember, you do not have to save everyone. Not if it costs you everything." Jake thought about the number. 40 patients in one hospital. Thousands across the empire. 12 dying every day. He thought about his sister back home. About his parents. About all the people on Earth who were counting on humans to do well out here among the stars. "Let's find out what I can do," he said. Velshara followed them to the door. She caught Jake's arm gently. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Not just for me. For all of us." Jake nodded. He did not trust himself to speak. His hands were shaking slightly, and he hoped nobody noticed. He was about to try to heal 40 dying aliens, and he had no idea if it would work or if it would kill him, but he was going to try anyway. Because that was what humans did. They saw impossible problems and tried to solve them. They faced danger and walked toward it instead of away. They survived because they refused to give up. Jake took a deep breath and walked toward the hospital. The hospital was nothing like the medical facilities Jake knew from Earth. There were no harsh lights or cold metal surfaces. Instead, the walls glowed softly with bioluminescent patterns. The air smelled clean, almost sweet. Everything was designed to calm and comfort, but nothing could hide the feeling of death in the critical care ward. Jake walked past bed after bed of dying Etherians. Their skin had lost its shimmer. Their breathing was shallow and irregular. Some were conscious, staring at nothing. Others lay still, as statues. Medical staff moved between them with quiet efficiency, but Jake could see the hopelessness in their movements. "This is the worst ward," Dr. Zalketh said quietly. "Most of these patients have less than a week to live. Some have less than a day." Jake felt his stomach twist. "Then let's not waste time." The first patient was an elderly Etherian named Velkoth. His skin was gray, and his breathing rattled in his chest. Jake sat down next to the bed and reached out slowly. He placed his hand on Velkoth's arm. The feeling came immediately. That same warmth rushing through his body, flowing from him into the patient. Jake felt something inside him shift. Like a door opening, and energy pouring out. Velkoth's eyes flickered open. Color began to return to his skin. "It's working," one of the medical staff whispered. Jake held contact for 2 minutes. When he pulled away, he felt tired but not weak. Velkoth was breathing easier, and the monitors around his bed showed improving vital signs. "How do you feel?" Dr. Zalketh asked Jake. "I'm okay. A little drained, but okay." Then we continue. Patient after patient, Jake moved through the ward. He touched each one, held contact until he felt the healing take effect, then moved to the next. Some recovered faster than others, some needed longer contact. But all of them improved. After 20 patients, Jake started to feel the exhaustion. His hands shook slightly. His head ached. But there were still 20 more waiting. "You should rest," Velshara said. She had been following him through the ward, watching each healing. "You have done enough for today. Just a few more. Jake, you can barely stand. I can stand fine." He moved to the next bed. The patient was young, maybe a teenager in Etherian years. Her parents stood nearby, holding each other and crying. Jake could not walk away from that. He placed his hand on the girl's arm and felt the healing begin. But this time, it hurt. The warmth that usually flowed smoothly felt like it was being pulled from him. His vision blurred for a moment. "Jake, stop." Dr. Zalketh grabbed his shoulder. "Almost done." Jake held on until the girl's eyes opened, and her parents sobbed with relief. When he finally let go, his legs gave out. Velshara caught him before he hit the floor. "Get him to a recovery room. Now." The doctor was already scanning Jake with a portable device. "His bioelectric field is dangerously depleted." They moved Jake to a private room and laid him on a bed. His whole body felt heavy, like someone had replaced his bones with lead. He could barely keep his eyes open. "Stupid human," Velshara said, but her voice was gentle. "Why did you push so hard?" 21 people, Jake mumbled. 21 people who would be dead tomorrow. "And you almost killed yourself saving them." "But I didn't. I'm fine." "You are not fine. You are exhausted and reckless and wonderful." She sat down next to his bed. "Rest now. The others can wait." Jake wanted to argue, but sleep pulled him down before he could form words. He woke up 6 hours later. His body still ached, but the heavy feeling was gone. Dr. Zalketh was checking the monitors next to his bed. "Welcome back," the doctor said. "Your bioelectric field is recovering, but slowly. You need at least 2 days of rest before attempting any more healings." 2 days? How many people will die in 2 days? That is not your responsibility. Then whose is it? Jake sat up too fast and immediately regretted it. The room spun. "I'm the only one who can help right now. Jake Morrison. You are the most stubborn being I have ever met. And I have lived for 300 years. Dr. Zalketh's crystalline face somehow managed to look both annoyed and amused. "But you are correct. People are dying. So here is what we will do. You will rest for 1 full day. Then you will heal no more than 10 patients per day, with breaks between each one. If you push yourself like you did today, you will burn out your own biology and be useless to everyone." It was not what Jake wanted, but it made sense. 1 day of rest. Then 10 per day. Agreed. Over the next week, Jake settled into a routine. Wake up, eat breakfast, go to the hospital. Heal 10 patients with breaks between each one. Return to his quarters and rest. The work was exhausting, but the results were undeniable. Every patient he touched recovered. Word spread quickly through the Etherian population. Some saw him as a miracle worker. Others saw him as proof that humanity had something valuable to offer the galaxy. But not everyone was happy. On the 8th day, High Counselor Ralsek came to the hospital with a group of armed guards. Jake was between patients, resting in a side room. When the counselor entered without knocking, "Human, we need to speak." Jake stood up carefully. "About what?" "About the fact that you are making my people dependent on an inferior species." Ralsek's voice was cold with contempt. "Do you know what they are calling you? The human healer. The one who can cure what we cannot. It is humiliating. I'm just helping people who are sick. You are making us look weak. You are proving that our greatest medical minds cannot solve a problem that a primitive technician can fix with a touch." Ralsek moved closer. "Some on the council believe this is a deliberate strategy. Make us dependent on humans, then leverage that dependence for political gain. That's not what's happening. Then explain to me why only humans can heal the plague. Explain why Dr. Zalketh's research shows that human bioelectric fields are somehow uniquely suited to cure a disease that targets Etherians." Ralsek's eyes narrowed. "It is too convenient. Too perfect. Someone engineered this situation. You're wrong. Am I? Then prove it. Submit to enhanced interrogation. Let our telepaths examine your memories. If you are innocent, you have nothing to fear. I'm not letting anyone dig through my mind. Then you are hiding something." Ralsek gestured to his guards. "You will come with us for questioning. We need to ensure you are not a threat to the Empire. The Emperor already approved my work here. The Emperor is blinded by gratitude because you saved his daughter. The Council is not so easily fooled." Before Jake could respond, Velshara entered the room. She was wearing formal armor, and she looked furious. "Counselor Ralsek, by what authority do you enter this hospital and threaten our guest?" "By the authority of the Council, Your Highness. We have questions that need answers. Questions that could not wait until after he finished saving our people?" Velshara moved to stand between Jake and the guards. "Or is the timing deliberate? Are you trying to stop the healings? I am trying to protect our civilization from potential manipulation. You are trying to protect your pride." Velshara's voice was sharp as a blade. "This human has saved over 100 Etherians in the past week, 100 lives that would have been lost. And you want to interrogate him because it hurts your feelings that we needed help from a younger species? Your Highness, you do not understand the implications. I understand perfectly. I understand that my people are dying and this human is helping when we could not help ourselves. I understand that you would rather let people die than admit that we are not as superior as we thought." She stepped closer to Ralsek. "You will leave this hospital now. If you have questions for Jake Morrison, you will submit them through proper channels and wait for the Emperor's approval." For a moment, Jake thought Ralsek might argue. The counselor's face was hard with anger. But then he turned and gestured to his guards. "This is not over," he said to Jake. "The council will have answers." After they left, Velshara's shoulders sagged. "I apologize. Some of my people cannot accept that we are not perfect." "He has a point, though," Jake said quietly. "It is strange that humans can cure your plague. Maybe too strange. Life is strange. The universe does not follow neat patterns." She looked at him with those silver eyes. "You saved my life. You have saved hundreds of others. That is all the truth I need. What if he tries to stop the healings? Then he will face my father's wrath and mine." Velshara managed a small smile. "You are under Imperial protection, Jake Morrison. No one will harm you while I live." Jake wanted to believe that, but he could see the worry in her eyes. The council was powerful, and Ralsek was not the type to give up easily. Something told him this conflict was far from over. The next morning, Jake woke to find 3 human ships in orbit around Ethe Prime. Earth had sent help. The medical team that came down to the surface included 15 volunteers, all trained in basic medical procedures. They were not doctors or specialists. They were ordinary people who had answered the call to help. Jake met them in the palace courtyard. There was Ryan Carter, a construction worker from Texas; Lisa Hayes, a teacher from California; Sam Bennett, a mechanic from Ohio. None of them were heroes. They were just humans who wanted to help. "So we just touch them, and they get better?" Ryan asked, looking nervous. "It's a bit more complicated than that," Jake said. "You have to hold contact for a few minutes. You'll feel a warmth flowing out of you. That's your bioelectric field helping theirs restart. Don't push too hard. If you start feeling dizzy or weak, stop immediately." "How many have you healed?" Lisa asked. 143 in the past 9 days. The humans stared at him with a mix of respect and concern. "That's a lot," Sam said quietly. "Are you okay?" "I'm managing." Jake looked at the palace behind him, where Emperor Tholvek was meeting with the human ambassador. "But there are thousands more who need help. That's why you're here." Dr. Zalketh approached with several Etherian medical staff. "I will assign each of you to a different hospital. We will monitor your health carefully and ensure you do not overextend yourselves. The Emperor has made it clear that human safety is as important as Etherian recovery." They split up and went to work. Jake returned to his assigned hospital, where patients waited. But something was different today. When he entered the ward, he found High Counselor Ralsek waiting for him. Several guards stood nearby. Jake's heart sank. He had hoped the counselor would give up. Clearly, that hope had been foolish. "Human, we need to talk." Ralsek's tone was formal but not hostile. "That was new." "About what?" "About the mistake I made." The counselor gestured to a private room. "Please, I owe you an explanation." Curious and cautious, Jake followed him. Inside the room, Velshera waited with her father. The Emperor looked tired but calm. "Jake Morrison," Emperor Tholvek said, "Counselor Ralsek has something to say to you." The counselor looked uncomfortable. His skin had lost some of its darker shade, and Jake realized with shock that Ralsek had been sick too. He was recovering now, but the signs were still visible. "I contracted the neural plague 3 days ago," Ralsek said quietly. "I hid it from everyone. Even the Emperor. I thought my will and discipline could overcome it. I was wrong." "Who healed you?" Jake asked. "You did. Yesterday, while you were treating patients in the next ward, one of the medical staff noticed my condition and brought me to you. I was unconscious when you touched me." Ralsek met Jake's eyes. "I woke up to find you sitting next to my bed, exhausted from healing me after healing so many others. You saved my life, even though I had threatened you and insulted your species." Jake did not know what to say to that. "I was wrong," Ralsek continued. "Wrong to suspect you. Wrong to fight against the healings. Wrong to let pride blind me to the truth." He straightened, and when he spoke again, his voice was stronger. "The truth is that my people have grown weak through our pursuit of perfection. We eliminated diversity in our genetics, standardized our neural patterns, removed anything we saw as imperfection. We thought we were becoming stronger. Instead, we created a civilization of identical copies, vulnerable to the same threats. Your chaos is your strength," the Emperor added. "Your messy, unpredictable biology is what saved us. We have spent millions of years trying to eliminate those qualities from ourselves. And now we see the price of that choice." "The council met this morning," Ralsek said. "We have made a decision. The Etherian Empire will begin a program of genetic diversification. We will reintroduce variations that we removed from our genome. We will encourage neural pattern differences instead of suppressing them. It will take generations. But we will become more like humans, more adaptable, more resilient." "You don't have to become like us," Jake said. "You just have to accept that perfection isn't always perfect." Velshara smiled. "That is the lesson we needed to learn." Thank you for teaching it to us. Over the next 3 weeks, the human medical team worked across the Etherian Empire. With 15 humans instead of 1, the healings went faster. Thousands of Etherians recovered. The plague, which had seemed unstoppable, began to retreat. Hospitals that had been full of dying patients emptied as people healed and went home. Jake continued his work, but with enforced breaks and careful monitoring. Dr. Zalketh became obsessed with understanding human biology, filling journals with notes and theories. The research team discovered that prolonged contact with dying patients actually strengthened human bioelectric fields, rather than depleting them permanently. The human body adapted, as it always did, becoming more efficient with practice. One evening, Jake stood on a balcony in the palace, looking out over the crystalline city. The sun was setting, painting the towers in shades of gold and orange. Velshara joined him, standing quietly for a moment before speaking. "We are opening an institute next month," she said. "The Adaptive Biology Institute. It will combine human and Etherian research. We want to understand what makes each of our species strong, and learn from each other." "That sounds good. We want you to lead the human contingent. Dr. Zalketh will lead the Etherian side." She looked at him. "Will you stay? Or do you need to return to Earth?" Jake thought about it. He missed home. He missed his family, his apartment, the simple routine of his old life. But he also knew that what was happening here was important. Humanity was proving itself to the galaxy, not through military strength or advanced technology, but through compassion and the simple act of helping others. "I'll stay for a while," he said, "at least until the institute is established. After that, we'll see." "Good." Velshara's smile was genuine and warm. "My people owe you more than we can ever repay. You saved my life. You saved thousands of lives. You changed how we see ourselves and our place in the galaxy. I didn't do it alone. No. You did it because you are human. Because your species learned to survive on a death world by adapting and helping each other." She paused. "The galaxy is starting to understand that humanity brings something valuable. Not the most advanced weapons or the fastest ships. Something more important. You bring the strength of those who have struggled and survived." Jake looked out at the alien city, at the people walking the streets below who were alive because of human touch. He thought about Ryan and Lisa and Sam and all the other volunteers who had come to help strangers from another world. He thought about Earth, harsh and dangerous and beautiful, and how it had shaped humanity into something unique. "We're survivors," he said quietly. "That's what we do best. Then we are fortunate to have you as allies." Velshara placed her hand on his shoulder, a gesture of respect and friendship. "Welcome to the Etherian Empire, Jake Morrison. May your stay be long and prosperous." 3 months later, the neural plague was officially declared eliminated. The last patient had recovered, and no new cases had appeared in weeks. The Galactic Assembly held a special session to recognize Earth's contribution. Humanity, the newest member of the galactic community, had saved one of the oldest civilizations from extinction. High Counselor Ralsek spoke at the session, his words broadcast across the galaxy. "Let this be a lesson to all species. Strength does not come from perfection or uniformity. It comes from diversity, adaptability, and the willingness to help those in need. Humanity has shown us this truth. They have earned their place among us, not through conquest or dominance, but through compassion and courage." Jake watched the broadcast from Earth, sitting in his parents' living room. His mother cried with pride. His father kept patting his shoulder and grinning. His sister kept asking questions about alien worlds and space travel. On his tablet, Jake had messages from Velshara and Dr. Zalketh. The Adaptive Biology Institute would open in 2 months. They were waiting for him. There was work to do, research to conduct, knowledge to share. Jake looked around his childhood home, at the familiar walls and furniture, at the family who had always supported him. Then he looked at his tablet, at the messages from friends on another world, at the future waiting for him among the stars. He was just a technician who had tripped and accidentally touched a dying princess. But that accident had changed everything. It had saved thousands of lives. It had forged new alliances, it had proven that humanity belonged in the galaxy, and it had taught Jake something important about himself. He was not just a survivor. He was a healer. A bridge between worlds. A reminder that sometimes the greatest strength comes from the most unexpected places. He typed a message to Velshera. "I'll be there in 2 weeks. Let's change the galaxy together." Her response came quickly. "I look forward to it, my friend. The stars await." Jake smiled and set down the tablet. The future was uncertain, as futures always were, but that was okay. Humans were good at handling uncertainty. They had been doing it for thousands of years on a death world that tried to kill them every day. Now they would bring that strength to the galaxy. Not as conquerors or masters, but as partners and friends. As beings who understood that survival meant helping each other. No matter how different you might be, the stars awaited indeed. And humanity was ready.